Good morning, and welcome to another ironic introduction to another video. Today I'll be talking about GrandBlue Fantasy. It's one of the two gacha games I play, and I realize that a lot of my videos are about Marvel Contest of Champions, but this is another game that I spend a lot of time working on and developing in progression. It's just kind of been in the background because content for this is a little more difficult to make. So the purpose of this video is so you want to make a GrindBlue Fantasy account. That's just a little play of words. The game is called GrandBlue Fantasy, and perhaps your friend has already convinced you to start playing. He or she has dumped hours and hours in and is in love with the game, and I wouldn't blame them. I have thousands of hours dumped to this game easily. I've been playing for close to 2 years now, and I still play every single day for roughly at least an hour a day, in slow periods like right now when I'm kind of on a break, and all the way up to, the longest I've ever done is a 40-hour no sleep break period of grinding, just because I wanted to make sure I could get what I needed in a limited time event, and I just went totally insane on it. So that said, you've already been convinced to make an account. One of the things I would really like to push is that you highly consider timing your account creation. Now, a lot of players, when they start their account, like if you're like me, you just start it when your friend convinced you. You're like, fine, you've convinced me, I'll make an account, and whatever day of the week or month that happens to be, you make your account. Well, if I could go back, I wish I could make myself wait like 6 or 7 days just to time it to a Legends Fest or a Flash Gala. Now, a Legends Fest happens at the beginning of every month, and a Flash Gala happens in the middle of the month. And the reason timing to this was so valuable is that new players start with this thing called a beginner start dash, and that allows them to pick a character from the current pool for $30. Now, it's not something that is, it leaves after 7 days. You won't have access to that deal, but it's a recurring deal. Until you buy it, it will recur every month at the same time until you buy it. And you can never buy it, but at least you'll always have that option, right? If 1 year later you're like, man, okay, I've been playing this game for a year. I would really like this limited character that was available when I made my account. And timing your account creation to one of those two. If you're a new player, it doesn't matter unless you know you're going to buy it right away, in which case I would consider looking up the characters and picking one in advance. But for the most part, if you're a new player, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you time your account creation to one of those events, because having that option available to you later down the road is going to be so nice. You're going to not regret it. You're going to be really grateful you made a kind of like conscientious decision to wait. And I understand that waiting's kind of a pain in the arse, but the thing is that you can just look at it like your friend has convinced you to play a game that's coming out, and is it out yet? And you're just waiting for it to come out, right? So that said, there's timing your account creation. And then beyond that, I think that you should highly consider rerolling. Now, rerolling is something you can only do 10 accounts on one email address per day, because there's kind of like a server load prevention. But rerolling your account essentially gives you 10 chances at starting off with like an essential boost, right? If you get lucky on one of your rerolled accounts, you could find yourself skipping several hours of early on grinding just because of some luck. And at the very least, it's not hard to do, right? Like, once you get quick at it, you can do it in maybe 5 to 7 minutes per reroll. You can hammer out all 10 in about an hour, pick the account you like the most, and just go. I don't advise rerolling over the course of several days or making multiple email accounts in order to do this. I'm a big fan of just having my main account, my main email address be the email address for my account. I'm just too lazy to do otherwise. So I think 10 rerolls is a very nice, reasonable amount of rerolls for a player to do. The game has so much buy-in anyways that if you're going to go through the effort of reading through the instruction guide on how to make an account, if you can't read Japanese, that is, I think that there's a lot of value in rerolling, and if you can stomach it, I highly recommend it, especially if you're joining during like an anniversary event, a holiday event, any kind of period where there's free draws to begin with. It might even be worthwhile for you to make those 10 accounts and then roll all those free draws and see where you get, because you have such a higher chance of starting off with a bigger boost as a result. So that said, I really hope you consider that. It's not a whole lot of effort. Heck, you could even convince your friend to do it for you. You're like, okay, fine, I'll play the game, but then you have to re-roll my accounts for me so that I can at least start with an advantage. It's kind of like a give and take. I did guilt trip my friend into coming over and hanging out with me. I did not make him re-roll the accounts for me because I do kind of like knowing that I did all of the work from my account. It kind of makes me feel like it's not really mine if I start on a boost that I didn't earn. So that time spent re-rolling was my own. But I don't hold that against anyone if you want to do that guilt trip technique, right? Like, okay, you want me to play, we'll make a trade here. I think that there's value in that kind of a friendship, right? Because there's a give and take. Beyond that, when you make an account, especially if you re-roll, download a password manager. I use LastPass. There's many other options, but I think that just in general, everybody should use a password manager. You're going to be so mad when you get a new computer or a new phone and you don't remember your account password and you can't speak Japanese or read Japanese, and then you have to go through the hassle of persistent translating and maybe checking your spam folder for password reset emails, and it's just way more of a hassle to change your password on this game if you don't speak the native language. So I highly recommend that you just get a password manager, stick your account and your password in there, and then you don't have to worry about it. It's not a problem. They don't make you do recurring password changes, and so you just have to do that one time, and then 2 years from now when you're still playing, you'll find, oh, okay, I could just pull it up in my password manager where it's perfectly stored. And that's way more secure than just like a notepad or something that you're inevitably going to lose. And the reason I stress a password manager is because I know people who have played this game and forgotten their password. And it is so frustrating to hear and so sad to hear, like, they can't log into their account and they have to go through this hassle of trying to change their password when they don't speak Japanese. So next, I would say please check out my video on why you should pay the beginner start dash tax. I think that you should really consider the beginner start dash. It is a huge boost in the game. You're really just saying, I know it's a free-to-play game, but instead of thinking it is a free-to-play game, you are just saying this is a $30 game, right? If your friend has convinced you to play and your friend has hundreds and hundreds of hours in, you were saying, I think the potential for those hundreds and hundreds of hours is worth $30, and right away I'm going to start with this huge boost. I'm going to get to skip so much just total BS grinding, and it's going to be worth it, I promise. If you have the $30 to spend on games, of course. If you don't have $30, don't spend it, right? That start dash isn't going anywhere. It will recur. You'll have an option in the future. Watch my other video. It might be worth your time if you have that $30. Next, I think that you should really, really consider joining a crew with a Discord. If your friend's not already part of a crew with a Discord, convince them to. The amount of time I spend on the Discord with my crew, I'm very happy with. Even if I stopped playing the game, I would stay on this Discord because I consider them friends. These are people, many of whom I'll probably never meet in real life, but because I've spent the last 2 years talking about the game, it's expanded beyond the game. I know some of what they do. I know some of them, I know the struggles they go through, and we talk and we play other games together. It's fun. It's a community. What you've done is you've found people with like-minded interests, and you can share that with them. And that is really core to GrandBlue Fantasy, as it is with many other games like MMOs, etc. That's what makes those games so good, is joining a community and realizing that you never need to meet these people face to face to build a lifelong friendship, right? Pen pals were a thing for a reason. This is the same thing, just on the internet. And I think that if you join an online community, you're going to find you have just at the very least a resource for information. This game has so much information to it that being on a Discord with other people, or Line, or any other form of communication chat, it doesn't need to be Discord, with other people, is going to allow you as a new player to ask questions. You'll be able to be excited about other new people as they progress. You'll get to see access to things that you won't have access to right up front. You'll get beginner tips from them, because there's only so many tips you can read online. You'll be able to ask for help. One of the biggest things is being able to ask for help, because crew members are more willing to help you than a random stranger, and you might find yourself stuck in story progression raids or things you just can't clear alone that randoms won't join because it's otherwise no value to them, but your crew member will pop in for the 15 to 20 seconds it takes them to clear just to help you out. I know that when I started playing, I got a lot of help from my crew, and now that I'm at a position where I can help, I tend to do what I can to help people in my crew who are not as far as I am, just because it's like you're paying it forward and now I'm paying it back. So that said, I think my last tip is that you should get really comfortable with the GrandBlue Fantasy Wikipedia page. There's so much information in this game that, and GrandBlue Fantasy Wikipedia page is insanely useful resource. It has so much information on it, and I think that if you're ever like, oh, I don't know if I should sell this weapon, GrandBlue Fantasy Wikipedia page. If you're like, oh, I don't know how to do this raid, GrandBlue Fantasy Wikipedia page. And sometimes you can ask your crew and they might send you to the right link. Like if you're not sure what to search for or where to go or what to look up, they might really be able to set you up on the right page. But a lot of the information can be found on the GBF Wiki. I highly recommend you get comfortable with it if you're going to start this game. You'll find it's really worth your time. So that being said, if you're someone who's getting into the game or someone who just recently got into this game, I hope these arguments really strike true for you, and I will talk to you later.